Ladies and gentlemen, an extraordinary marriage possesses and, in fact, requires a tremendous amount of respect. And on the outside, you hear that and you say, yeah, that's obvious. There needs to be a lot of respect in marriage. As I've thought about it and worked with couples all over the world and have studied personal development and human performance for 2 decades, more than 2 decades, I found that there are three main types of respect that we just absolutely have to have in our marriages. Number one is actually self-respect. Number two is respect for your spouse. And number three is respect from your spouse. So let's hit each one. Number one, if you don't have enough self-respect, then you're not going to set and keep healthy boundaries. There has to be a level of self-respect, right? In order to set up a boundary, say, no, I don't allow that. You set a standard, you set boundaries, and you say, these are the things that I allow and these are the things I don't allow. But when we lack self-respect, we don't set those or we don't keep them. We might set it in a moment of self-respect, we might set the boundary, but if it diminishes, then we let the boundary get pushed around. And so we have to have healthy boundaries. We all do. Like there's the things we tolerate and things we will not tolerate. So you got to have enough self-respect to set and keep healthy boundaries. Next, if you don't have enough self-respect, you can't show up in the way you need to for your spouse and for your family and for others for that matter. You got to have enough self-respect. It starts here and here in order to really show up and be your best self and bring your full power and potential. You got to have the self-respect, because if you don't, you're going to tolerate all kinds of shortcuts and weaknesses and just kind of junk from yourself. You're not going to level up like you could. And also, if you lack self-respect, it radiates out to others, and your spouse will pick up on it, and your kids will pick up on it, and other people will pick up on it. And they won't even be able to articulate it, but it's just there. It's just kind of obvious. You can tell, and you know this when you meet other people. When people lack self-respect, it's hard to respect them. So key element there. If you are lacking in self-respect, others will also lack in respect for you. Whew, powerful principle. Okay, number two, you've got to have respect for your spouse. If you lack respect for your spouse, then you just won't honor and serve him or her like they deserve. You've got to have a tremendous amount of respect for them. Now, respect is earned. I get it. And some of you might be like, well, yeah, I have lost some respect for my spouse because of X, Y, and Z. And that's understandable. I get it. So a couple of things here. I want you to really focus in on their positive things. Look for the good. I know that it's easy to see the negative. It's just like blatantly obvious in front of you like a neon sign in your face. But look for the good. And then and honor that. Praise that. Think about the reasons. Why did you get married in the first place? What did you admire and love about them? And maybe that's changed, but you can resurrect it, bring it back. What do you still admire, honor, appreciate in your spouse? Like, look for those things. And then here's the biggest part. When you see those things, praise them a lot. Like, focus on the good and it will expand. Praise it, vocalize it, talk about it. When I do something and my wife says, points it out, or something I'm not doing and she just comes and says, you know what? I love it when you do this or when you do that. Or, hey, I noticed this. Wow. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to bend over backwards. I'm going to go out of my way to do that thing. So praise it, honor it, love it. And make sure, respect often is also just it's a thought and a feeling and a paradigm. We can choose to have more respect. And sometimes it might just be respecting them as a human being. And if things are off right now and you're just like, you know what? I'm going to, what can they do? Well, right now they're doing one thing. We'll focus on that thing, whatever. Like, choose to just have respect that. And I promise, as you treat people, and your spouse specifically, with more respect, they grow into it. They start to feel it. It's what I call the Dulcinea principle from Don Quixote de la Mancha, right? Where he treats Dulcinea like his queen, and she eventually becomes it. Or the Jean Valjean principle, when Les Mis, the bishop treats him with so much respect and love and kindness and honor, and he changes, he transforms, because the bishop could see him for who he truly was and what he could become, not the outside shell. So again, focus on that, really bring it, energize, like honor and respect your spouse. Number 3, respect from your spouse. This is part of fulfilling your needs and desires. Every one of us needs to feel valued and heard and seen and appreciated and respected. We all need it. We need it so desperately. It's just part of being a human being. We've got to have that respect, especially from a spouse in the most intimate relationship that exists in life. Because in a real extraordinary marriage, we hand over everything to our spouse and they hand over everything to us. It is true, whole, complete intimacy, right? And there's got to be respect in there. We got to receive respect. So if you don't have the respect from your spouse that you deserve or want to deserve, then you're going to feel unfulfilled and empty, and your needs are not going to be met. And if your needs aren't being met in your marriage, that's going to carry over to every other part of your life. It's a big, big deal. So again, we're not going to focus on what your spouse needs to do, because I can't influence what your spouse needs to do. You can't influence what your spouse needs to do, except through, effective communication and influence, right? We can persuade, we can talk, you can gently and carefully express those things and ask for them. That's part of self-respect, is asking for it and setting up boundaries and clearly articulating expectations. If you guys have expectations that have not been clearly communicated, that is some weird form of manipulation. Don't do that. Do not do that. And it causes all kinds of mental and emotional angst and turmoil, because you have all these rules in your gigantic rule book that you expect others to follow and your spouse to follow that they don't even know exist, and operating on different rules. So clearly communicate those expectations. But here's the one thing you can do. You can earn respect. Now, whenever I say this in context with spouses or with children, most people are like, are you kidding me? I do this, and this. I've, gave birth to children. I've worked so hard to provide for this family. I've been doing all this, making all these sacrifices. And we come up with this list in our heads of like all the reasons we deserve respect. And that's true. But what's fascinating and interesting is that respect isn't always automatic. And just because we have done something in the past doesn't earn us respect today. Real, true, deep respect is earned by our way of being, by what we do genuinely and sincerely every single day. And so in my mind, I'm literally winning and earning my wife's respect and my children's respect each day by my behaviors, by making and keeping commitments, by following through, right? And I want to encourage you, and again, I'm saying this with so much love, but I'm also going to be totally frank here. A lot of you are letting things slide a little bit. You're not making and keeping commitments, and you're not operating at your best self. And so when you're just sitting around kind of doing things halfway, when you don't follow through on what you say, when you're not establishing and keeping really great habits, when you just are kind of coasting through life, people notice that. And again, they probably wouldn't even articulate it, but they just subtly lose respect for us if we're not living at our best. And so if I'm just constantly scrolling on social media or playing games or watching TV, or I spend every evening watching Netflix, or I'm constantly complaining or blaming, or just watching the news or consuming negative things, or if I'm gossiping about others, all of that comes out. So it's what we think, because it has energy, like it radiates energy. It's what we say that radiates energy. It's how we act. It's our behaviors, our patterns. It's what we're doing day in and day out. The constant, continual stuff that comes out. And I, again, this is with love, but total frankness here. I'm doing some coaching. If your thoughts, words, emotions, and actions are not respectable, then you're going to lose respect. That's just the honest truth. And I know it kind of hurts a little bit, but it's true. And your best self, when you're living at your absolute very best, right? Are you doing those things? No, we're not. We're at our best. We're living respectably. And so we earn respect. So my invitation here on this piece is just make and keep commitments. Keep them to yourself, keep them to others. Level up. Get your life organized. No more complaining. No more blaming. No more gossiping. No more negative talk. No more just losing control of your emotions. Meaning like you just get super angry about whatever. And if you need to get in shape, do it. If you need to get your closet organized, do it. If you need to organize the garage, get after it. If you need to clean up your car or you change the way you carry yourself. I mean, there's a lot of lack of respect in the way we carry ourselves. If you're just dressing sloppy and you're sloppy and your hair is sloppy and you're not really taking care of yourself, you're not carrying yourself well, you're kind of slumping around all the time, you're just taking up full-time residence in your sweats on the couch, and the house is a disorderly mess, and there's no respect there. You don't respect yourself, and others won't respect you. So change it. Do it. And people are like, oh, what's going on? Why are you doing this? Just whatever. No, I want to level up. And it's everything. It's the whole demeanor. It's all of you. Do the things that are respectable. And again, that all is born in the first one we talked about of self-respect. Have enough self-respect to really take care of everything that's you to your best. And this isn't something you stress about or that causes an extra burden in your life. It actually brings a lot of joy and power and energy to your life. So carry yourself better. Take care of your things better. Make and keep commitments. Do the things that are respectable. And guess what? You're going to have way more respect. And then you'll respect yourself more. You're going to respect them more because you're changing and growing and improving and altering your paradigm. They're going to respect you more. Then all of a sudden, you have this marriage that is full of respect. Self-respect, respect for your spouse for you. And it just feels fantastic. And it's easy to keep that up now and perpetuate it because it feels so good. And now you get in a new pattern, a new habit, a new way of being in marriage that is all just filled with respect. So let's go out and make it happen. Start building those 3 areas of respect into our marriage, because an extraordinary marriage possesses those things and in fact requires them. So let's fill our marriages with respect. Reach upward.